Harvest is confronting, furious, surreal, hypnotic, feral. Yeah, it's probably enough adjectives. I received the script through Sean Price Williams, a cinematographer, who I'd worked with before on another film. Um, and he sent me the script and told me that he hates doing this, but he really thinks this will be, a special piece, and Athina's somebody to work with. So I read the script, and I liked the script very much. But Athina came and visited me at the house. She met my wife and my parents, and she came a few times to the house. And the second time, she brought her husband Ian, who was working on the film as well. But I think pretty quickly, from just sitting down and her talking or not talking, um, I wanted to do the movie before I met her, but after meeting her, um, she seemed like a warrior in a kind of way, someone who was going to go to the ends of the earth to make her film, uh, and I very much wanted to be a part of that. I wasn't aware of the novel beforehand, and I didn't read it for quite some time, just because I didn't have a Scottish accent in my head yet, and I didn't want a Texan accent to be the first. I didn't want those words already were read in the script once with a Texas voice in the head, and I didn't want that to happen ever again. Um, but I looked Grace up, I remember, and watched some interviews with him talking about why he wrote the book. Um, and I felt that Athena too had a similar response to why this was necessary right now. And when he wrote the book, I believe, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he was seeing something happen somewhere else in the world, seeing the same thing happen to somewhere else in the world, and in the current time, um, and that this it's still happening all over the world, different places, different means, maybe not sheep, maybe soybeans and things like different things. The research was more. I started watching a lot of this show called Still Game. I looked up in Wikipedia. I was looking up what was filmed in Scotland by Scots, and there's not too much. And this was a long-running program over there, which I later found out when I got there. It was the most popular show in Scotland. And it's a fantastic, really great show. But that was kind of getting my ear used to the accent from being in Los Angeles. But it wasn't until I came to Scotland, to where the work could start. Um, but it was all a kind of number of things, but it was all very physical. It was all very sensoric. It was about touching, tasting and smelling and talking to people and meeting people and just trying to kind of soak up as much of the things that I could maybe help inform who this character was. Um, and Athena works in a very kind of mystical way, um, where things are happening on their own, it feels like. Um, and I've said this before today, but very serendipitous. The days would find themselves many serendipitous things happening, and it all working kind of its way into the film. And I work in a way where I'm trying to bring the kind of outside process into the film in a kind of way. And Athena very much works in this way too, where everything that we were doing beforehand, working up to the film, is feeding the film in some way or another. And we believe it'll find its way into the film in some way or another. Um, but it's a very different way than how a lot of people work. Other than cold, towards the end, Scotland is vast and an incredible country. And Oban is a place where you've got many people from different parts of the world all coming to visit. So you've got people from Germany and France, and you've got some Americans maybe one weekend, and it's this real eclectic space just because of the tourism. But then the people that live there that make up the place, um, uh, quite a few people are in the movie. Um, so I'd find myself with a family, meeting a family and learning how to roll wool or something like that. And then a week later, the guy you're rolling wool with, Oren, is in the movie, and so is his mother, and they're playing, and it's really incredible. So like sometimes I didn't know, I didn't know, and they didn't know either. I don't think Oren wanted to be in the movie in the beginning, you know and it was great, kind of these relationships that start without any uh, thought in that kind of way of a character meeting any of this kind of bullshit or anything, but just getting on in your own way, and then that being integrated into the film is really special. Um, but just making it was Scotland really embraced us. Um, the weather was very generous. And then at the end of the movie, the weather said, fuck off, you guys are done. There's a big storm and the road got taken out, and we couldn't finish the last day of shooting, which proved that we didn't need that last day of shooting. Uh, and I think the place itself dictated a lot of how the movie um, is. Um, but somehow it felt like Athina was in charge of that too. Somehow, like it all worked in our favor in one way or another, even if it didn't look like it would. You know? Suddenly, a storm became a godsend or something. Athina showed me a cut of the film after debating with herself whether to do so or not, because she doesn't show the actors the movie beforehand. She has them all watch it at the same time, or when it's completed. So I felt very honored to be brought into it in that way, also knowing that she does not do that. But it just felt like a further evolution of the process that we'd already started. We were just in a studio, which was very different to making the movie. But it's probably the best experience I could have asked for when it comes. I've never been a part of a project in that way with musically. I mean, other than maybe them using a song I made at home or something but not with people, you know. So I can't think of a better way of doing that than the way that we did it. But it makes sense because that's how she made the film. So it makes sense that that process was also a very anarchic, freeing, very breakable, fragile search for sounds and textures and whatever it was that she was looking for. It was really special. The more movies I'm getting to be a part of, the harder it's getting to want to work in a kind of way, because the work I'm getting to make with some of these people, to me, is as good as it gets. And the environment that they create has been like Curzel created an environment that I was able to step in, and I'd never been offered this space before. And Athena very similarly offered me this freedom in this way, very different in the way we worked in a way, in many ways. But there was this space that they gave me, which I am grateful for. And it's the kind of spaces I've been looking for since I came out to Los Angeles to try and be a part of movies. But I think it's few and far between, but it feels like it works out because it's supposed to work out or something. It doesn't so much feel like this is the next, that's it. You know, it either is right or it's not right. And you just know it because the inside's screaming at you or something, you know, to not do it or to do it. And if you're here and not do it, then you're going, why not do it? Is it because I'm scared, or is it because I really don't agree with what they're trying to do? And if it's because you're scared, then it means you should probably do it. So I think I go based on more of those feelings, and then the people that are making, that I'll be working with. But I've just been very extremely fortunate, I think.